What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Iyanla Vanzant. Now, this is saying season 7, episode 3, but I don't know where episode 1 and 2 went because I thought this was the season premiere. But neither here nor there. It's the last season, so it really don't matter. Because let me explain something to y'all. Y'all have ruined Iyanla. Iyanla said, I'm over it. I'm over y'all. Okay, I came down here to genuinely help people with my pseudo-ass degree. That is what I came down here to do. But what y'all did was y'all turned this into a mockery. You turned this into what I did not want it to be. I told y'all I didn't want these reality stars up on my show, but the producers keep bringing them on here because they think it's going to get us a bunch of damn ratings. That's what this is, okay? Now listen. Bucky brought her ass on to Iyanla Vanzant. That's somebody else. Iyanla Vanzant. And has ruined the damn show. Okay, so let me rewind. What I mean by this, y'all, is, and I said this before, shows like Marriage Boot Camp and things like that, those shows originally started with people we did not know. They were not celebrities. They weren't reality stars. They weren't anything. These were people who genuinely were having issues with their marriage / long-term relationship and wanted help. And we saw them go through it. And all it took is for them to do one season of Celebrity Marriage Boot Camp. And we ain't seen regular people since. And now what we keep dealing with are fake relationships and people who just trying to get on the show to make a little bit of coinage. And so they go and find them a boyfriend or they make up a relationship. And then we stuck watching a season full of lies that we know are lies and we not interested in. Whatever. When Hazel brought her ass down to Iyanla, Iyanla said then, this why I don't even like dealing with reality stars, because y'all not really here to get help. When, what's Benzino's ex-girlfriend name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. When she brought her tail down there, Iyanla said the same thing. Now, I don't know who or what convinced Iyanla to bring Bucky on there, because you already know what you was getting with her. Alright, I'm done. This gonna be all over the place, y'all, because honestly, I'm just giving my commentary. I can't even get through. At this point, this episode is almost, it's a half a week old. Y'all done seen it. Y'all know what the hell happened. So, Shay Johnson, a.k.a. Bucky from the Flavor of Love, a.k.a., also Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Love and Hip Hop Miami, okay? She went on to Iyanla Fix My Life to get help with her relationship with her mother. In the interim, we find out that the brothers also have issues with the mother, but they have never really expressed those issues to their mom. And so Iyanla started with the mother. And I understand she started with the mother from a point of view of, I don't want you to get bombarded. I think the mother knew that she was going to be dealing with the daughter. But I don't think the mother realized that the brothers, the sons actually had issues as well. Now, if you watch Love and Hip Hop Miami, you know the one son, MJ, who was dating Amara Lenegra, whatever that was. We won't, that's another show. Okay. But we also are meeting the older brother, and we'll get to the brothers in a minute. But the mother shows up, and the first thing they have her do was look at exercise, look in the mirror. And the mirror's like one of those funhouse mirrors. It's like real distorted and stuff. And the question, they have to answer a couple of questions. The first question is, what do you see? And she was like, a strong black woman. Now, because I be watching Iyanla, I knew what Iyanla was trying to get to and what she was trying to say. You looking at a mirror that is clearly distorted. You looking in that mirror and you are saying you see a proud black woman. Instead of seeing what's really in front of you, you saw what you wanted that picture to be or what you thought it should be. But what you really saw in that mirror was a distortion. Alright. Now, she talked to the mom and she told her, she said, listen, and this is how you knew what direction this was going in, and this is how she should have knew what direction this was going in, when Iyanla was like, listen, I'm a great grandmama, but I was a horrible mother. You should have already knew which direction this was going in, mama. You knew. And she was like, listen, I'm here for you. I got your back. I'm not going to leave you alone, but we're going to have some hard conversations. So then they started talking about things that she said about her daughter. One of the things she said about her daughter was that her daughter was a demon from hell. I ain't say that. She was like, I ain't say that. And she swooped it down. She didn't say it. Even after Iyanla was like, get the tape. Now, whenever somebody say get the tape, Iyanla said, I got receipts. You probably should just backed up then. But she was, and then when they showed her the tape, what she did to say the daughter was a demon from hell, her response was, well, y'all must have spliced that together. Now, here's what I found interesting. They brought the producer out, and the producer said, well, we do edit it down, but those words came out of your mouth. However, we didn't address what the mama said. The mama said you spliced that stuff together to make it say that. Yeah, I said those words, but I might not have said those words that way to say that. But let's be clear. I ain't about to sit here and split hairs because your daughter is a damn demon from hell, okay? You said that you came home and the daughter, Shay ass, was 14 years old, had a house full of people, and was smoking in your house. And when you proceeded to say something to her about it and address it, she cussed you out, called you out your name, and left the house. Bitch, what? And the problem was, Iyanla was like, well, what was the punishment? What was the consequence? And she was like, well, I wouldn't let her back in my house, you know. She said, no, that's abandonment because you didn't put her out. She left. And you just wouldn't let her come back when she was ready to come back. But what was the punishment? Because originally you let her back in, but what was the punishment? Because here's the reality of the situation. Y'all would still be picking my teeth up. There would be a tooth still missing somewhere in D.C. because my mama would have, no, actually, it wouldn't be in Washington, D.C. because my mama would have slapped me so hard. The tooth probably would have traveled to like Maryland or Virginia. I'd still be looking for that tooth, okay? I would have just went to the dentist and be like, can you just, right there. Because it would be gone. I just wouldn't have it. I wish I would have at 14 years old called my mama out her name. Like, I just can't wrap my brain around it. I remember one time I did call my mama out her name, but I wrote it in my journal. And my mama read my journal. Oh my gosh. And even after I knew she had read my journal and I knew she knew what I had said, I would not admit it. She was like, did you say something about me? What? You sure you didn't use a bad word to describe me? Mom, what you talking about? And I knew she had read it. Like, it was clear that she had read it. It was obvious that she had read it. But if you think that I'm about to sit here and admit that I called you out your name, whether it was in writing, whether it was in anger, whether you ain't supposed to be reading my journal or not, it don't matter. She could ask, my mama could call me right now and ask me that question. And be like, remember when you was younger and you had that journal? And remember that time I asked you if you called me out my name in that journal and you was like, no? I'd be like, She was like, did you really? I'd be like, no. And I'm grown. I don't even... Moving on. So, it's clear that Shay has been a wild child for a very long time. Here's the reality. So, then Shay comes in. I can't drag this out too much longer. So, then Shay comes in. And here's what was supposed to happen. This is how Shay thought this was going to go. Shay thought that this was going to end up being a beat up on mommy session. She thought that this was going to be about everything that mommy did that made my life horrible. She was all ready to perform and everything was going to be her mama's fault. She got her brothers on board to make it seem like they had problems with mama too, even though mama never knew she had problems with her sons. She thought everything was good with her sons. She thought her only issue was with her wild child daughter. And so that's what Shay thought was about to go down. And the problem was that ain't what happened. What happened was Shay got there. First of all, why was you dressed the way you was dressed? And Iyanla said because the titties was all out, looking like she was on her way to a Flavor of Love reunion. That's what she looked like she was going, not going to therapy. Like, who did you think you... And that's what Iyanla said. Who did you think you was going to see that you got the girl sitting out? And then she going to say, well, I tried to cover them up. I got pins and everything. Okay, so then your shirt too small. You know what? There's a quick remedy to that. Just get a bigger shirt. Get a bigger shirt. Anyway. And so Iyanla talks to her. And again, I could tell the way she wanted the conversation to go because everything she tried to do was try to throw it back at her mother. And Iyanla wouldn't let her do it. Now again, That's not to say that her mother doesn't carry some of the burden. But if you have seen this show, now mind you, you wrote her. You asked to be on the show, or your agent or somebody, but somebody from your camp wrote that letter to her and asked to be on this show. So you already know what it gives. You know what she does. Nobody goes on her show. Nobody gets out of her show unscathed. And I think the moral of that is there's no one version of the story. And in a situation dealing with a relationship, both of us contributed to the failure of the relationship. You understand what I mean by that? And so I think that's the point that Iyanla tries to get people to understand is, yes, your mama might have did some shit. Okay? But you are now in your late 30s, early 40s. Where do we go from here? And so, and talking to the brothers, what she realizes that, wait a minute, well, Shay has her issues as well. Whether she picked them up through her mom, whether she created a thick skin because she felt like, and she said that, her mother never really wanted a girl, and her mother made a comment about wishing she only had girl and boys and never really wanting a girl and stuff like that. I 100% believe your mama said that, Shay. I believe it. I do. But here's what happens. Your bad behavior is not excused because your mama won't shit. And I don't think, I'm going to get to the mama in the situation, because I don't think the mama was as bad as, let me get to that in a minute. But let's just assume for a minute that's what it was. You don't get to, sorry, I said my time. You don't get to be an ass and be who you are and then always say, well, because my mama, because my mama, because my mama, because my mama. Like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. It's not how this works. So with that being said, she talks to the brothers, and the brothers are like, listen, Shay, she a pistol too, and she's this way, and she's that way, and she's this way, and she's that way. And so Iyanla was like, okay. First, she brought the mother in to let the mother hear that the boys had issues with her. And she said, I don't want you to talk yet. I want you to take it in. I want you to hear what they said. And I want you to go think on it. So then she brought Shay in, and she did the exact same thing. She wanted the boys, the men, the brothers, to tell Shay what their issues were. Shay wanted to respond. Iyanla was like, not yet. You will get a chance to respond, but not yet. Then she went into reality show Shay, right? Then she went into reality show. She went from, I'm here, yes, I'm here. I'm going to go through the process. I promise I'm going to stick through it to the end. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And she went into reality show. She got loud, she got belligerent, she got disrespectful, she got rude. Well, y'all already know how Iyanla roll. She ain't going to take but so much before she going to throw it right back at you. So at a certain point, she threw it right back at her. She was like, you ain't going to have me on your show looking stupid. She was like, you already look stupid. And she was like, you promised me you would stick through the process. Shay was like, fuck your process. So, like, it got real nasty, and Shay left. And Iyanla was like, she doesn't get to come back. That is the consequence for her bad behavior. And she ended up telling her producers, I will facilitate a conversation between her and between her brothers, her mother, and herself, but I will no longer work with her. That is going to be the consequence of her action. Okay. So we found out the brother, now the oldest brother is a doctor. Now I never got cleared up whether he was a medical doctor or whether he was like a PhD type doctor, but he was a doctor. And when he went to go introduce himself to Iyanla called him Joe. That's his name, I believe, was Joe. And he said, Dr. Joe. And she said, I'm the only doctor around here. Everybody else. And at first I was like, oh, that's disrespectful. Why she won't let that man be who he is? He earned his degrees, whatever they are. Like, that's disrespectful. But I understood as we went through the process, because part of his problem is his identity was wrapped up in all of his accolades, and he was very self-conscious, and it was all about, and that was from his trauma, because his goal as a kid was to get out, be the best, get the fuck out of here, right? And so he doesn't know who he is outside of his degrees and outside of his accolades. And when he doesn't get it, then so I got it. After that, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense why she won't let him connect that doctor right now. Him and his wife were having issues, and we saw a session between him and his wife And all I just said is kind of what came out in the session. And they're working on their marriage. They're now in marriage counseling. I'm not dragging this whole thing out, y'all. Y'all can get about 5 more minutes, okay? Because I ain't got a whole lot more for it. And she's a doctor as well. And so that you assume, I should say, that they live a very comfortable life. I ain't saying they rich. I'm saying comfortable. That's the assumption. But you see that they still have the issues. MJ, the brother that we know from Love and Hip Hop, he was saying how, and here's the thing about MJ. I 100% empathized with MJ. MJ is me, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. I am the middle child. MJ is the middle child. The middle child often gets overlooked. When you are in the middle, especially when you are in the middle of two strong personalities. So MJ had an older brother who was focused on getting out. He was focused on school and whatever he had to do to get out. You got a younger sibling that is a wild child doing whatever the hell to get the attention, whatever the situation was. And he said that he always felt like it was nothing he did was good enough because, he never got the accolades for playing football or for doing this or for doing that. And it was almost like he was overlooked. And honestly, I know that story because when you're the good kid out of 3 kids and we all had our own, because I wasn't good. We all had our own separate issues, our own separate situations. But when your situation requires the least amount of energy from your parents, and I grew up in a 2-parent home, so I can only imagine when it's just the mom. Sometimes it gets overlooked. So if you got the younger sister that is out here, wild child, and the older brother who is sort of just vacant, not around, doing his own thing, then you get caught up. And so I understood exactly where MJ was coming from. And so we had a moment where him and his brother were able to talk about it. And the brother was like, I'm sorry, it was never my intention to leave you stranded and to not be a good big brother to you. But I was focused on doing what I was trying to do, which was get out. That was his focus. Then we had the big conversation with the mom. And I'm going to say this, because the parents got divorced and the kids put their father on a pedestal. Father could do no wrong. And Iyanla said something very profound, because one of the brothers said, well, my mom said these things about my dad, and I know that my dad wouldn't do that. And Iyanla said, you know your father. She knows her man. And that's like, for example, the father, let's say kids who can't accept the fact that their father had an affair. My father would never cheat on my mom. She's lying. First of all, what she got the reason to lie for? You know what I'm saying? My father would never be abusive. She's lying on my dad because he's your father. And that's why women go out of their way to protect the man, so the kids see the father the way they should see a father. But that doesn't mean that he's perfect. And that's what Iyanla said, and I thought that was very valid. And she said, I find it very interesting that y'all are caping for this man, but he ain't here. Now, I don't know whether they invited him and he wouldn't come. I feel like they did. Because I feel like that's the only reason why she would have necessarily brought it up, is if the invitation had been extended and he did not show up. But I thought that was deep, because Shay did it and the brothers did it as well. They put their father on this pedestal like he was perfect and he treated them so great and life was so great with the father. But you know what? It's real easy for life to be good when you're the part-time parent. And what I mean by that is y'all don't live together. So you're the part-time parent because y'all don't live together. Whether he was part-time, like he got him every weekend and he paid child support, I don't know about that part. But the part that I do know is y'all don't live together, so you still the part-time parent. I feel like the mother didn't know how to show affection. She was motivated and was grinding and was trying to take care of 3 kids and raise 3 kids and make the best decisions. And like my mother always says, kids don't come with an instruction manual. You do the best you can with what you got. You pray on the rest. That's a quote from my mama. Y'all can have it. And I think that's just a perfect situation of what we're talking about here, what we're dealing with here. The mama didn't make the best decisions. She wasn't very affectionate. She didn't say I love you. She didn't hug them a whole lot. She didn't do a whole lot of that with them. But at the end of the day, all of them said she was a good provider. And I think sometimes people inadvertently sacrifice one for the other, especially when it's a single parent situation, whether it's a single mom or a single dad. I think they inadvertently sacrifice one for the other. They were able to convince Shay to come back for the third day. They did this over a weekend. And so for the third day, they were able to convince Shay to come back. But Iyanla, true to her word, was like, but I ain't going to deal with her. And she didn't. But where I got upset is, at the end, I feel like Shay got what she wanted. I feel like, once again, she threw a tantrum, and she ended up getting what she wanted in the end, which was everybody apologized to her. I didn't know your pain was so deep. I didn't understand your pain. I didn't understand your pain. And here's the reality. Their apologies were valid, because I do think a lot of her behavior probably came from the pain in the relationship between her and her mom. But because she didn't go through the trenches like the rest of them did, and because she didn't have to sit in it and go through a session with her mom, and for them to really try to hammer some stuff out, I feel like she got the dessert without having to eat the entree. I feel like that kid, when your mama say you can't have dessert until you eat dinner, and you throw a tantrum to the point where your mama was like, here, just take the ice cream because I don't want to hear it anymore. I feel like that's what happened. And so what angered me was, once again, she didn't get her way. She threw a tantrum, and she got what she wanted. Because at the end, when she showed up, all of them apologized to her. Both of her brothers and her mama. And even with that, it wasn't good enough. Because when they did bring up about her behavior, even though they were saying, now we understand, we didn't understand your behavior was a cry for help. We didn't understand your behavior was your pain, blah, blah, blah. She still had to throw in there, but I'm not the only one that shows that type of behavior. Girl, they just gave you a... Girl. Anyway, that's all I got. I ain't got no more for this. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I know it's old. It came out last week. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments, y'all. Peace.